teaching at two universities, University of Oxford, United Kingdom, and University of Colorado Boulder, United States. Owner of more than 27 patents, founder of Earable startup, a scientist and a talented businessman.
Một cái cơn bão rất là lớn nó sẽ cuốn sạch thì rất nhiều thứ ở trong một khu rừng. Nhưng có những cái cây mà tồn tại được thì nó sẽ có rất nhiều cơ hội. Nhìn những nguy cơ nó như là cơ hội hơn là nguy hại.
The above-mentioned philosophy of watching storm is what motivated our guest for Talk Vietnam today maneuver through the crisis caused by COVID-19. Together with his team, he can not only weather the storm, but also reach a new level of development and contribute to solve one of the most pressing issues of our modern times, sleep. How could he do that? What's so special about his new invention? We will discover all of that with Professor Tâm Vũ, the man behind Earable, a startup that is rising through storm. Well, thank you so much, Professor Tâm Vũ, for joining Talk Vietnam.
Thanks for having me.
The most used word of 2020 is COVID-19, and I think we don't have to talk much about the damages that it had caused to the society in all aspects, but specifically how it has affected the technology world.
It's changed companies' employees mentally, right? No longer they feel the stability that they normally enjoy. Imagine a person graduate with a computer science degree, a programming skill. They often find their job, very high-paid job, very easily. It's no longer the case because companies start firing a lot of people. Investments become much harder. Last year, only 1/4 of the total capital was deployed from venture capital compared to the 2019, and that's mainly because of COVID, right? Also, the number of startups were dying is a lot more compared to before. So I would say the damage that it caused is unprecedented.
How did you cope with all of those challenges that you just mentioned?
Right before COVID happened in the US, Earable have decided that we should move to online working model where people would bring equipment, devices back to their house. It means that we have to replicate our testing facility. It means that we have to replicate our equipment so that our employee can work from home. And we not only prepare that from the physical meaning, but also mentally. So not only that we buy more equipment for them, having them to set that up in their house before the lockdown happened in the US, but also we prepare them mentally.
But you made that move way before working from home became a trend, right? Can you explain more? Why did you foresee that trend?
Well, so I would say we were relatively lucky compared to the other US company because of the fact that I'm a Vietnamese founder. So I was in Vietnam right before COVID, and if you remember, that was during the Tet holiday that I went back to Vietnam for Tet. And then one thing I found, and one thing I saw at the time was Wuhan and all the phenomena happening in the province around Wuhan in China was happening around February timeframe last year. And seeing what happened and how the lockdown happened and how the scale of the damage, I thought that would be something that is unavoidable for the US. And at the time, in the US, even the president, like Trump at the time, was still saying, yeah, COVID is just another flu. And sure enough, it's much more damaging than that. What we had done at the time was really prepare for a longer run in terms of fundraising. Hi everyone, today I'm going to be sharing our recent work on a new system that can sense biological information from inside the ear.
In 2016, a smart wearable ear device called Earable was first introduced at Stanford University, US. If this device is connected to a drone, the signal that it captures can help us control the drone the way we want. When you open your mouth, the drone rises. When you grind your teeth, the drone moves forward. When you look to the left, the drone turns left. This shows that the smart device can track your brain signal, your eye and face muscle movements in real time. The purpose of this device is that from the signals that it captures, it automatically tracks and improves the quality of your sleep and increase concentration when you are driving, studying or working. A prototype of Earable was put on clinical trial in US hospitals and achieved 95% accuracy. Earable was granted 5 US patents. Having recognized the potential of realizing his research results, he decided to found Earable to provide people with many helpful healthcare devices. Currently, Earable is based in the US, UK and Vietnam.
To demonstrate your products and technology, you brought to our studio today 2 products.
Right. So what I have on my hand here is a prototype of a earphone. So this is a bone conducting earphone that we developed from scratch.
So the sound doesn't go through my eardrum.
It doesn't, right.
But it's actually transferred through
right.
my bone.
So with the normal earphone, the speaker would vibrate the air. The vibration of the air would hit your eardrum.
Right.
And then the eardrum would, that physical motion get turned into the electrical signal or bioelectrical signal that transmit to your neuron, to your brain, and then that's how you hear things. This one, it's a little bit different in the sense that it would vibrate on your bone.
Right.
So the audio would transfer through your bone to your eardrum. You would wear it like this, right? So you see the, here is the bone conducting point where when you play music, it would make sounds here, and you can hear because of the vibration.
Right.
It's not the normal sounds, but what it also has a electrode here and the electrode down here. So the electrode would allow us to capture those bioelectrical signal, and those electrodes are this one. The 2 electrodes on 2 sides, and on the other side there's also 2 other electrodes. What it captures is the brain signal, the eye signal, and the muscle signal. So it means that if you're sitting in an office and you're working, and you also want to listen to like calm, light music in the background, we can monitor whether you're focusing or not. And a very serious use case and application of this is actually being used for taxi driver, truck driver, heavy machine operators, or pilots for monitoring the level of awareness that they have at any given time. So being able to monitor that allows us to increase the safety of the driver.
And it's more on the prevention part.
But more friendly and probably everyday household application could be using this for tracking if a kid is sitting in front of a computer and focusing on the lecture or not, right? For example, if somebody have a kid at home.
Like this product.
That's right. So you have a kid that's sitting in front of especially with COVID, right? People stay more at home, or student would take online classes. They're going to be wearing this because they need to listen to the sounds coming out from the lecture anyways. Another device that Earable have been making, and we hope that we plan to ship this around June time, is
in June 2021.
Yeah, June 2021. Is this eye mask. The device would talk to the person, serving as a coach for the user, so that it can help them to sleep faster. It can help them to sleep deeper, and it wake the users up at the right time, so
it's
that
like
they
a
feel
personal
more refreshed.
assistant.
It is a personal doctor. You want to try it on?
Yes.
Is it comfortable enough?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Please lay your back on the bed. Adjust your posture so that you are in a comfortable position.
You can take it out now. Let me show you what the app actually can capture. On this, we have the POAS index, or what we call is a sleepiness level index. Basically, it shows how sleepy you are. So it would go up, and if the app does it well and it's suitable for that person, the POAS will keep increasing until a point where you fall asleep, right? So what we saw here is that at the beginning your POAS was very low because you started falling asleep, right? You started, but then as you start paying attention to your breathing and you follow the guideline, your breathing actually goes down, the rate goes down, you become calmer, and as you can see here, your POAS, the sleepiness index actually start increasing. But then when it start playing that kind of rain sounds and the ocean sounds, it doesn't look like it helped you.
Yeah, I'm not really.
It looked like you didn't really like those, right? So the as a signal, you can see here, it doesn't really show that, and the device knows that because it monitors in real time. It knows that, oh, this doesn't help the person, and it switched to something else, to the piano sound, your POAS, or the index for sleepiness goes up, right? So it means that if it switched to the right stimulation, it actually helps you. So that's the cleverness of the device. And then it would monitor. And from that, tomorrow if this was done during your night sleep, tomorrow when you wake up, it will produce a very accurate graph and information about how well you slept.
Thank you so much for the introduction.
No, thank you.
I had such a fun experience. Thanks to the help of Professor Tâm Vũ, I myself had a chance to experience this device. But how does it help people with sleep issue or insomnia? We'll see more in the following report.
Tôi bị thiếu ngủ trầm trọng. Một đêm tôi chỉ ngủ từ 1 đến 2 tiếng mà thôi. Tình trạng này đã kéo dài hơn được 4 năm. Ban đầu thì mình chỉ mất ngủ khoảng 1-2 ngày thôi. Xong dần dà thì cái độ mất ngủ của mình nó sẽ kéo dài hơn. Càng về sau thì nó sẽ có những triệu chứng như đau đầu. Nó dẫn đến việc mình không tập trung. Thời gian mà mình không ngủ được, mình sẽ bắt đầu suy nghĩ nhiều thứ lung tung. Mình cảm nhận được mình thay đổi dần hàng ngày theo một cái chiều hướng không tốt, về tâm lý, cả về sức khỏe.
Nếu như một người mà bắt đầu xuất hiện những triệu chứng mất ngủ, họ bị khoảng cỡ 4 đến 5 ngày trong một tuần, họ bị trằn trọc mãi không ngủ được á, theo tuần, theo tháng, theo năm, thì lúc đó họ sẽ rơi vào những cái trạng thái gọi là mệt mỏi, quá độ, trầm cảm và lo âu quá mức. Cái triệu chứng đó nó kéo dài nhiều năm, nhiều tháng, có thể nó sẽ rơi vào những cái trạng thái về bệnh lý về tâm thần kinh nó nặng nề hơn nữa.
Mất ngủ là một vấn đề toàn cầu. Trên thế giới hiện nay thì có 2,1 tỷ người là đang có vấn đề về giấc ngủ. Tôi chắc là bạn đã từng trải qua cái cảm giác như thế. Những cái giải pháp hiện nay trên thế giới thì hoặc là rất là đắt tiền, hoặc là gây cảm giác khó chịu cho người dùng mà lại không giải quyết được vấn đề một cách triệt để. Thì đó là lý do mà Earable đã tiến hành phát triển và nghiên cứu sản phẩm trong suốt 4 năm qua.
Đây là một cái sản phẩm nó dùng một cái band đeo ở trên đầu của chúng ta. Thiết bị có thể lấy được cái sóng điện não và sóng điện mắt cũng như điện cơ. Từ đó nó sẽ giúp cho cái người dùng đó có thể có một cái nhận định chính xác về vấn đề về giấc ngủ của mình. Nó có nhạc ở dưới làm cho người ta êm dịu và người ta dễ thư giãn. Thế bên đó là có một cái giọng nói để hướng dẫn, để hỗ trợ cho họ đi vào cái thư giãn dễ nhẹ nhàng hơn, để giúp cho người ta dễ đi vào giấc ngủ hơn. Thì các bác sĩ có thể sử dụng cái thiết bị này trong vấn đề về kết hợp về vừa chẩn đoán và vừa điều trị cho bệnh nhân luôn.
Khi mà mình đeo cái thiết bị lên đó, thì thứ nhất là mình cảm nhận được những âm thanh rất là nhẹ nhàng, dễ chịu. Nó làm cho cái thần kinh của mình nó ít nhiều nó giảm bớt căng thẳng. Mình hy vọng là trong thời gian tới, nếu như mà thiết bị này sau khi hoàn thiện tung ra thị trường thì sẽ giúp được rất là nhiều người giống như mình.
You once said that technology is used to solve problems that human beings face in everyday life. But why did you choose to solve this issue of sleeping?
That's a great question. So you probably see that people think and talk a lot about AI these days. But I've been playing with the concept of HI. In my dictionary, it stands for human intelligence. I mean, it's so old school, right? But it's people actually use AI to help human. Why don't we use AI and devices to help improving humans' intelligence? Our intelligence can be your level of wakefulness during the day. How fast can you remember?
Right.
How fast can you recall something out of your memory? How far can you see? How well can you see? All of those are controlled by our brain and by our cognitive function. So human intelligence, it's not as limited as what we think. I try to look at and building technologies that can help to improve people's intelligence and unlock humans' capability by brain stimulation, right? For example, this is a very simple form of brain stimulation using stimulations of audio, like we talk to you, but it can go way beyond that. What we are doing in the lab now is we try to do deep brain stimulation, sending electrical signal, electromagnetic signal into the deep brain cells themselves in the brain. 1/3 of people in the world have sleep problem. And if you do a rough calculation, that's more than 2 billion people have sleep problem.
Wow.
And sleep problem is not just, oh, I can't sleep, or it's not just insomnia. It's a lot more than that. If somebody feeling sleepy during the day, it also means that they have a little bit of sleep problem. And those are, funny enough, it's addressable. If they have a good practice, and in clinical term, it's called, if they have good sleep hygiene, they can be much better off. It's just like we brush our teeth every day to take care of our teeth. Right. If we have, every day we spend a little bit of time to have a better sleep hygiene as opposed to dental hygiene, then you would have much better sleep, which result in a more productive day. The day after, have a better immune system, because sleep is very important to your immune system.
Right.
It will also affect your memory, but also you can be more efficient during the day because you can even sleep less.
Right.
If you sleep efficiently, you don't need to sleep for 10 hours. You can sleep for 6 hours very efficiently. You lay down, you fall in sleep, you sleep deeply, and then you wake up, you feel more refreshed.
Although the product is being completed and is expected to launch in early June 2021, since 2020, Earable has received funding from many well-known venture capital firms such as 500 Startup, Smilegate Investment, VP of Logitech. At the end of 2020, Earable received funding from Founders Fund at the pre-seed funding stage. This is the famous venture capital firm at US Silicon Valley. The firm has successfully invested in 39 unicorns, including Facebook, SpaceX, Airbnb, and Spotify. Earable received a total of $1.6 million in funding in 2020, in which $1 million came from Founders Fund. Thanks to that, the company managed to reduce its financial burden and continue to develop its products.
It seems like COVID-19 is obviously one of the biggest washing storms that we are all facing. And during that time, you successfully called for investment for Earable. Your business still going well, so can you elaborate more on that?
When COVID happened, many companies start cutting down in hiring. Yeah, let's just withdraw. Let's reserve our cash so that the storm would pass or COVID would pass.
It's like hibernating.
They would go into hibernating mode. We consider this as an opportunity. So we really see what would be the difficulty. What would be the difficulty that everybody would have to deal with, or most of our competitors would need to have to deal with, and then we come up with countermeasures. An example is when we saw that many other companies was trying to fire people, we did the reverse. We go and hire more. And at the same time, we go and try to get more funding, more money. There's a huge loss in the GDP in the country, in the US at the time. And we thought there must be a stimulation package would come relatively soon. And that's really thanks to our very, very experienced CFO who have built a company from zero to his current company worth $2.3 billion. And one thing he saw was like, yeah, this is an opportunity that we should take, where really prepare ourselves, get in the line early, so that when the stimulation package coming out from the government, we would get the money, right? So sure enough, we prepare applications, we talk to the bank, and at the time it was JP Morgan Bank. And we said, hey, we got impact from COVID. And the bank was saying, yeah, it's not out yet, but you can line up and these are the documents, go and prepare and read. So sure enough, when that came out, we just applied immediately, and we were among the first that got the money from the government. And that really helpful, because when the cash is running out, when it's very hard to get investors, any dollar help. We are a multinational company. The research and development is happening in Oxford and in Boulder, but all, if not all, probably 90% of the engineering effort are happening in the Earable office in Ho Chi Minh City. And we thought, if we had to test our device in the US, it would be of a tremendous difficulty, because the government decided to lock down, and hospitals and universities are no longer allowed to do clinical study. We can't test our device there. What it meant is also our competitors, if they are developing their product
they can't do that either.
Exactly, they in the US or in UK, they don't have the same problem.
Right.
So we shift that to Vietnam.
For a superficial observer, when crises come, they might just complain and find excuses for not taking any action. But in your case, you did some very wise move. For example, applying for the stimulus package, or moving the clinical trial to Vietnam. But I believe that R&D and commercialization of the product also requires a lot of capital investment. And Founders Fund is one of the biggest names in the investors. How did you persuade Founders Fund to believe in your product and pour money into your project?
One of the strengths in Earable is we are developed based on the 11 patents that was filed in the US. That was the result of my research over the last 5-6 years for the same technologies. And with many investors, they would ask about the technology, you would tell them, they would try to understand, and they say, sure enough, I believe you. Not with Founders Fund. They would go deep into your patents. They would really read it, and then they appreciate the quality, the depth of the technology, and the potential of the technology, not only on the product and on the domain that you are planning to apply to, but also they see a bigger, larger vision. They come back with a lot more ideas, really chat with us to see whether we are open to that, what are our direction to get there, and then they would be on board. In total, they have 39 unicorns until now. So let's see if we can be the 40.
In Colorado, United States, the COVID-19 pandemic has forced many companies to cut down on employees and suspend operation. Specifically, medical companies have had to pause all research and human trials. Earable was not an exception. But in the middle of the crisis, Professor Vũ Ngọc Tâm has seen more opportunities to turn the risk into advantages.
This is the IRB approval form that we were able to attain before the COVID outbreak was taken seriously in the US. It gave us a competitive advantage over many of our competitors to conduct human trials on using our devices before the COVID outbreak happened.
In 2020 alone, despite the complicated development of the pandemic, Vũ Ngọc Tâm company didn't have to cut down employees. Instead, his team grew by 400% thanks to being able to attract talents from many famous technology groups.
Tôi vào Huawei thì Earable đến, mặc dù Earable đến sau, nhưng mà tôi lại chọn Earable. Nếu mà mình tham gia công ty, mình sẽ có khả năng tạo ra được sự ảnh hưởng. Mình có thể giúp họ cải thiện giấc ngủ và về sức khỏe, tiềm năng khá là lớn. Nếu Việt Nam cho tôi cơ hội để mà cống hiến, làm đúng với những cái chuyên môn của mình và giúp phát triển, thì tại sao không?
In a crisis, more and more people are hoping to improve their sleep. This has motivated Professor Vũ Ngọc Tâm to push R&D and commercialization of his product.
Và đấy là cái cách mà Earable ứng phó với nguy hay là cơ. Và bọn mình nhìn thấy đây là một cái cơ hội để vươn cao hơn, vươn nhanh hơn, vươn cái tầm ra xa hơn để có thể đón được ánh nắng, để có thể phát triển và vươn ra tầm thế giới.
The people behind those devices are your co-workers and your teammates. So can you help us elaborate more on that?
A product can last for a couple of years or even a decade, but people can make multiple products one after another. We focus on people, we focus on team way more than we do on product, right? So within the team, we maintain a culture with 6 very, very important core value. We value hardworking, right? People come to work really, really hard to get to the same goal. We value the fact that people need to aim really high. And in order to do that, they also need to think out of the box. And because we are a science and a technology-based company, we value the first principle-driven way of thinking, meaning that you don't just believe in something because somebody do that. You have to go and really find what is the first principle that you build upon, that where the first principle is something that you believe that it is true and you have ways to validate that. We encourage people to try different things and fail fast. The culture of not afraid of being wrong, not afraid of failure.
So definitely investing in human capital is one key element in your business. Besides the business with Earable, you are also a professor at 2 universities, one in the UK, Oxford, and one in the US. So tell us more about that.
I can use different expertise, knowledge, and advantages from different positions to leverage and help the other business. For example, Earable is a science and technology-based company that leverage a lot of new knowledge and new technology from the lab that developed, whether it is the lab from the US or whether it is the lab from the UK. It actually helped to the company.
And you also have a passion in helping and encouraging your students to pursue a career as a professors, right?
Right. Right after I graduated, I started the professorship in University of Colorado, and I found that it's so rewarding, right? It's so rewarding because you can work on the topic that you want, and you can only do that most of the time in academic world. If you're a professor, you have your own lab, you have your own group, you have your own students, and you have to be strong enough to attract enough funding to run your research program. But that's about it. But what much more rewarding is the feeling when your students grow. They grow so much, they learn so much, they can become somebody that's drastically different. And those students later will become professor that teach other students, and then the next generation, and then the next generation. As much as I enjoy inventing new technology and product, I do realize that it only lasts for 5 to 10 years. But the people that you've trained, the people that you've grown, will only grow more and more people.
With a belief that talented people are the ones who can boost scientific development, the young professor always hopes that more Vietnamese students can go to the US for training and that he can help them complete their professorship in the shortest time.
Một là mình cấp học bổng, thường là học bổng 3 năm hoặc 5 năm tùy xem là đi Anh hay là đi Mỹ. Và sau khi sang thì các bạn cũng tham gia nghiên cứu cùng với mình ở các phòng thí nghiệm của mình.
Tâm has visited many major universities in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City to look for and award scholarships to students with excellent academic record and a strong passion for researching. So far, he has sent 7 students who has a lot of potential in researching and technology to the US.
Thực ra mỗi năm thầy có rất là nhiều hồ sơ, nhưng mà thầy lựa chọn rất là kỹ càng trong các cái hồ sơ đấy và quyết định chỉ là chọn 1 trong hoặc 2 người mỗi năm. thì em nghĩ cái cơ hội thầy trao cho em là rất là quý báu.
Ngoài những hướng dẫn tận tình của thầy trong lĩnh vực nghiên cứu, thầy còn biết cách rèn luyện cho sinh viên một phong cách làm việc chuyên nghiệp, luôn đặt mục tiêu cao để mình phấn đấu, cũng như là một thái độ khiêm nhường để luôn lắng nghe và học hỏi những cái mới.
Most of the research currently being done at Professor Vũ Ngọc Tâm lab are student-led. Professor Tâm helped the students shine and inspired them to continue the mission of enhancing human intelligence. After 6 to 7 years, many of Professor Tâm students have also become a professor at some prestigious universities in the US.
Thì lúc mà học đại học hay là học thạc sĩ thì mình nghĩ là mình đi học để có thêm được kiến thức và tìm được công việc mình mong muốn thôi. Chứ mình chưa nghĩ đến chuyện là mình sẽ cố gắng làm để mình tìm được cái việc mình thích. Giáo sư Tâm truyền cho mình được một cái cảm hứng là mình nên làm cái việc mà mình thích, mà cái việc mình thích nó phải có ích cho xã hội. Thì đó là một cái điều rất quan trọng mà nó thay đổi hoàn toàn vào cái nhận thức của mình về nghiên cứu. Mình muốn tuyển nhiều sinh viên từ Việt Nam sang để cho những cái sinh viên này có điều kiện để tiếp cận với công nghệ mới, đồng thời có điều kiện để phát triển bản thân họ và đào tạo họ trở thành những cái người có ích cho xã hội trong tương lai.
Each student who has become a professor themselves under the guidance of Professor Tâm will go on and train more professors. These professors will train even more professors. In Tâm's words, he has planted a professor tree with many branches that continue to grow further and developed human intelligence.
So now I want to go back a little bit to your childhood and how did you make it from a very young boy in Thái Nguyên to, be a professor at the biggest universities, one of the most prestigious one in the UK and the US?
And my journey, I would say it's mostly luck and hard work. Because looking back, right, I've been since seventh grade, I've been doing the same thing, right? I've been doing exactly the same thing in computer, playing with computer in one form or another, whether it was programming or it was building devices, or AI or machine learning, and all of that are still within the same scope and same scheme of computer science. I think I was kind of lucky that I found my path, but at the same time, I don't believe in finding yourself. I strongly believe in inventing yourself. You pick the path, you realize what you need, and then you improve your skill, and then more and more you realize what you want, and then you improve your skill to get to where you want. And in a sense, that supports my second point, because I was saying I was lucky and hardworking at the same time, and I work extremely hard for what I want. During my PhD, for example, you would work with one advisor, PhD advisor for your PhD. I work with 3. And just to make it a little bit harder, I started an outsourcing company and put project to Vietnam while working with 3 advisors on 3 projects. And it's very rewarding because I get to work with people that are top in the field, but also I have a cross view of multiple projects that help me a lot, and that shortened my study quite a bit.
Tôi là giáo viên dạy toán cho anh Vũ Ngọc Tâm những năm học ở cấp 2.
Tôi là giáo viên chủ nhiệm lớp 10 ở trường Trung học phổ thông chuyên và dạy chuyên tin.
Nhỏ, gầy nhưng mà nhanh nhẹn.
Thường chúng tôi là giáo viên thì hay nhìn vào mắt học sinh, đôi mắt rất sáng. Khi mà mình dạy học ấy, mình nhìn thấy cái đôi mắt ấy mình cảm thấy hưng phấn.
Ngày đấy thì chẳng riêng gì cán bộ công chức, cả xã hội đều khó khăn ở cùng khu tập thể. Thế nên là đã đến nhà, dạy ở nhà ấy thì hai anh em chịu khó. Mẹ đi nhận những cái hợp đồng dán phong bì để hai anh em tranh thủ ngoài giờ học thì dán phong bì lấy tiền. Anh ấy được vào tuyển bổ sung. Tức là cái năm lớp 8 vào trường ấy thì anh Tâm cũng chỉ là một trong những thành viên nằm ở top cuối. Bản thân anh Tâm cũng nỗ lực rất nhiều.
Thời gian đấy thì cơ sở vật chất để mà dạy tin học rất là khó khăn. Có một cái phòng máy rất là hạn chế với cấu hình rất là đơn giản. Tôi phải thấy là thầy trò đấy, rất là quyết tâm. Có cái kỷ niệm này đúng là cũng là cái nghịch ngợm của trẻ con còn bé, nhưng mà cũng thể hiện là các em nó ham học, nó tiếc cái cơ hội học. Thì cái năm ấy là tôi bị ốm. Đến mai là đoàn xe của nhà trường để đưa các đội tuyển về dưới đội học phải báo cho các cháu là hoãn. Đấy, cô bảo là không đi nữa để sau. Thế mà chúng nó thế nào mà nó ba lô quần áo sách vở, rồi nó đi xuống Hà Nội, nó lý luận là cô đã liên hệ rồi thì xuống đấy học chứ không mất cơ hội.
Rất tự hào cậu học trò mà ngày nào còn bé nhỏ mà nay đã thành công trong lĩnh vực khoa học.
Đam mê này, đấy, cái quyết tâm này, sắt đá và cái khổ luyện nó tạo ra cái sự khác biệt, đưa bạn ấy đấy, từ một tỉnh lẻ Thái Nguyên về Hà Nội, xong sang Mỹ, rồi sang Anh, đạt được những cái điều mà mình mong muốn.
Starting as a student who was born and raised in Thái Nguyên province, today Professor Vũ Ngọc Tâm is well known in the scientific research community. He has been granted 27 patents and achieved several awards from the US government, Google and Sloan Research Fellowship 2020.
Professor Vu is extremely sharp and he has great ideas. He has been winning so many best paper awards. He has won some Google faculty awards as well. So he's just outstanding in every way. And so we're very, very lucky to have him. We're very fortunate that he chose us to come to the University of Colorado.
He is one of the most creative and brilliant people about ways to do new things. Because I like to think about hard medical problems to create solutions for. And he's not afraid of tackling that in a new way. And that creates something that's very new that can change the way medicine's done.
You are a Vietnamese. So how does the Vietnamese elements or values play a role in your path to success?
Even when you go out there, go to many countries, when you say that you're a Vietnamese, you receive very positive response most of the time. In most countries, our image, Vietnam's image, Vietnamese image, Vietnam's entrepreneurs' image are very, very well received. We are the very fast-growing country, open country, speak a lot of English. If you asked me that question about 10 years ago or 5 years ago, it would be more of a curiosity. It would be more of, I heard that, blah, but is it true? But now it's very much more assertive. It's much more positive because we have strong presence, right? We have strong presence in the region. We have strong presence in many sectors, manufacturing, garment, seafood exporting, and we have great sightseeing, we have great beach. It's no longer the curiosity response that we seen about a decade ago. It is about the fact that we are growing fast. We are becoming a stronger and stronger country.
So in a world post-COVID-19, there would be certainly a lot more uncertainties. So what are your advice to the younger generations in coping with such a new situation?
I would highly encourage the youngsters to think about hardship as an opportunity. But also it is an opportunity to fail. Because if you fail, it is normal. But make sure that when you fail, you learn something through the process of trying, then fail. It means that you would be failing forward. The way I think about this difficult time is just like a storm that I mentioned earlier. It is a washing storm that gives us an opportunity to to sit back and a little bit and think and position ourselves, find the right position so that when the storm pass by, there will be a lot more sunlight coming in. You would have a lot more space because the weaker ones already wash out. So positioned in the right place and stay positive and try to look for the sunlight that would come after the storm. That's what I would suggest.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for your very insightful sharing today with Talk Vietnam. Once again, thank you, Professor Tâm Vũ. It's not easy to be that tree in the washing storm. However, with the mentality of keeping trying and not afraid of failing, or in Tâm Vũ own words, every time you try, if you fail, remember to fail forward. I believe that many of us here have been inspired. And hopefully the story of Tâm Vũ today will help you, both you and I, keep a positive mindset, see opportunities in challenges, and find our own way to fulfill our own life mission. And that is also the end of this edition of Talk Vietnam. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.